Once upon a time.
They are beautiful and precious creatures that should never be harmed.
Is that special teams? More forwards! Epic fail.
I mentally don't get crazy.
More like, shoot me in the head.
Hopefully they know what hockey is.
Hi, and welcome to the Sprightly Puck. I'm Nikki, and this is Robin, and today we're going to be talking about the NHL draft, but first, we're actually going to talk about some really crazy news pretty much affecting every single team, especially our beloved Blackhawks.
Cap space.
It's important.
For those of you who don't know, in order to make sure that all of the teams kind of have some sort of theoretical equal playing field, the league sets a top cap space. It's your salary cap. You cannot pay as a whole all of your players more than this set amount. Well, it's been going up because it's based on a lot of different factors. Because one is you don't want to allow your owners to pay more than they're going to be able to make back, because you don't want to run a team into bankruptcy. And so there was a new TV deal that was going through on Canada's side, and also some renegotiation of the TV deals here in the US. And so they thought that they were going to be getting a lot more money in from the TV deals that would be spread out to the owners through the league. But they didn't end up using all of that, and so they ended up splitting up the difference between some of the lower income that they were getting and then what people were expecting the cap to move up to. And so when they announced the final cap for this next year, 69.
Not 72.
Not 71. Not 70. But 69.
That means that for the teams that were over the cap to begin with, it hurts a lot.
Yeah. So some teams always sit. Some teams always sit at the top of the cap. They've got the guys, they're keeping people around, they're giving them raises, they're re-signing people. And it's the teams that are really building up a backbone. And then there's teams that never reach the cap. There are teams that barely reach the minimum and have a lot of trouble paying their players enough to actually qualify. But so for a team like, say, Chicago, when the cap is announced at 69, they start looking at their numbers, and with only 20 players signed, we're already over the cap. Because that means people have to go.
Like Bolig.
Like Bolig. People either have to go or they have to get demoted. And with Bolig getting traded, they're now under the cap by a little bit.
But there's talk that there will be more lost.
They still don't have a full roster. And they don't have enough left to pay what they need to fill in for the roster. So somebody's going to have to go. As it stands right now, it doesn't include any sort of raise to re-sign Taves and Kane. If they're going to get any more money than what's on their current contracts, they're asking, their first bid was twice as much as their current contract. So if they're going to get any more money, there's going to have to be a lot more space created. There's a lot of teams that got that news and said, oh shit.
Luckily for the Stars, though, here in Dallas, and Jim Nill has very successfully kept us under the cap. Your favorite players for the Stars, if you're a Stars fan, are probably safe at this point.
But see, that's the thing, is that with the cap, the Stars, they need to fill in a lot of holes right now. They've got great prospects. Mm-hmm. The Texas Stars did amazing. But they've got a lot of holes at the NHL level. But what you've got right now, though, looking at next year, is who is actually going to be on the ice? And so you have to figure out, okay, well, if you've got all of these holes to fill, and you've got this much money to fill them with, you can't use most of that money to fill one hole.
Draft just happened, and so we are going to hit on the top 5. So first up was the Florida Panthers, and they picked Aaron Ekblad, who is a defenseman. Usually a forward is first picked, and this is the first time a defenseman has gone number 1 overall since 2006. And the Panthers were quoted as saying that they think he is very mature for his age, and they think he'll be a good fit in the future for them. All right, the second pick was the Buffalo Sabres, and they picked Sam Reinhart. The Edmonton Oilers, no surprise here, picked a forward, Leon Draisaitl.
You had one job. One job. And your job's name was either Aaron Ekblad or Hayden Fleury.
Okay, and the Calgary Flames were 4th, and they took Sam Bennett. Last of the top 5 was the New York Islanders, and I really liked what one commentator said as the Islanders were making their way up to the stage. The Islanders have been a top 5 pick for the last 6 years. They better hope they don't do this again next year. they picked Michael Del Cole. And actually, there was a comment made that nobody was really sure who was going to get picked first because the needs of each team were very different. It wasn't like every team needed a center, and so they were all honing in on one guy.
Yeah.
They all needed something specific, and that's what they were looking for in that first round.
So this is a really long episode, so we're going to take a little breather, let you go get something to drink, get something to eat, whatever, and then we'll be back with the second half of draft day.